Prince William's latest move has completely changed the conversation around who gets to represent the British monarchy, and it has reportedly left Queen Camilla facing one of the toughest setbacks she's encountered behind palace walls. What makes this situation so fascinating is that it wasn't just a simple rejection. It turned into a major power struggle that exposed exactly who is shaping the future of the monarchy right now. At the center of the debate was Camilla's reported effort to secure an official royal patron role for her son, Tom Parker Bowles. These positions are far more important than they might sound. A royal patron acts as the public face of a charity, institution, or organization, bringing royal attention and prestige wherever they go. For months, discussions reportedly continued behind closed doors as supporters argued Tom could help fill a growing gap within the royal system. But when the proposal reached Prince William and Princess Anne, everything changed. Instead of simply declining the idea, they reportedly challenged the entire foundation behind it. By the time the discussions ended, the proposal had been withdrawn completely, leaving Camilla with little choice but to step back from the effort. The bigger story, though, isn't that it failed. The bigger story is why it failed, and what it says about the balance of power inside the royal family today. To understand why emotions ran so high, it's important to understand what Camilla was reportedly trying to accomplish. This wasn't simply about giving her son a prestigious title. Supporters of the idea viewed it as a practical response to a growing problem facing the monarchy. Tom Parker Bowles, born in 1974, has spent his life outside official royal duties. He's known as a respected food writer, critic, broadcaster, and author. Over the years, he built his own reputation in media and publishing without relying on royal status. He's comfortable speaking publicly, has strong professional connections, and is already familiar with life around the royal family. According to reports, Camilla believed those qualities made him uniquely qualified to help during a difficult period for the monarchy. The list of active working royals has become noticeably smaller in recent years. Prince Harry stepped away from royal duties and now lives in California. Prince Andrew no longer performs public royal engagements. King Charles continues to manage health challenges while balancing royal responsibilities. As a result, fewer people are available to handle the enormous number of events, patronages, and public appearances required each year. Camilla reportedly saw an opportunity in that situation. Behind palace doors, the argument was said to be straightforward. The monarchy needed additional support. The burden on senior royals was growing heavier. Rather than strictly following old traditions, some believed the institution should become more flexible and adapt to modern realities. Under that thinking, Tom could potentially take on a limited number of charitable responsibilities, easing pressure on senior members while allowing important organizations to continue benefiting from royal support. Supporters described it as a practical and modern solution for a modern royal family. Looking only at logistics, some people could understand the argument. The monarchy faces staffing challenges. Tom is experienced, media-savvy, and already connected to the royal household. On paper, some observers felt the proposal seemed reasonable enough. But that's exactly where William and Anne reportedly drew an extremely firm line. They weren't viewing the situation as a staffing problem. They were viewing it as a constitutional issue. And once that perspective entered the discussion, the entire debate changed direction. A royal patronage isn't simply a ceremonial badge handed out to well-known individuals. It's a role tied directly to the institution of the crown. When a royal becomes patron of a charity, cultural organization, hospital, or military group, they bring the symbolic authority of the monarchy with them. Their involvement signals trust, continuity, and national recognition. For generations, this arrangement has operated under an important understanding. The person serving as patron is an official member of the royal institution itself. The public sees that individual as someone whose duties are tied to the crown and public service. According to reports, William and Anne believed granting such a role to Tom would blur an important line. If Tom were allowed to represent organizations in an official royal capacity, some feared it could create confusion about who actually serves as an authorized representative of the monarchy. Critics reportedly argued that the public might struggle to distinguish between working royals carrying constitutional responsibilities and relatives connected through marriage rather than official royal duty. That distinction, supporters of William's position argued, is critical to maintaining the structure of the monarchy. Official responsibilities traditionally flow through the sovereign, direct heirs, and designated senior royals who have committed themselves to public service on behalf of the crown. From that perspective, allowing a non-working family member to enter the official framework could create questions that future monarchs might struggle to answer. If one extended family member receives such privileges today, what happens when others seek similar roles tomorrow? That concern reportedly became one of the strongest arguments against the proposal. William and Anne are said to have believed that once a precedent is established, it becomes extremely difficult to reverse, and that possibility appears to have weighed heavily on their decision. When formal approval became necessary, reports suggest both William and Anne refused to support the recommendation. This wasn't treated as a routine administrative disagreement. Instead, it became a broader examination of how such appointments should be handled moving forward. Rather than focusing solely on Tom himself, they reportedly shifted attention toward the process behind the proposal. Questions were raised about whether every required review and consultation had been completed. Senior advisors were reportedly asked to examine how the recommendation had advanced and whether all traditional procedures had been followed properly. That strategic shift changed everything. Normally, appointments involving royal representation go through extensive review processes. Advisors examine qualifications, implications, public perception, and constitutional considerations before consensus is reached. Reports suggest William and Anne wanted confirmation that every safeguard had been respected before any major decision moved forward. They reportedly asked a difficult question that supporters of the proposal struggled to answer. Had the recommendation received the full level of scrutiny normally expected for a decision carrying such symbolic importance? Or had unusual circumstances accelerated the process? By concentrating on procedure instead of personalities, William and Anne reportedly placed the proposal under intense institutional examination. Once that happened, momentum quickly began to fade. According to reports, concerns emerged that the necessary consensus among senior royal advisors had not fully materialized. Questions about precedent, constitutional optics, and long-term implications became impossible to ignore. As those concerns gained attention, support for the proposal reportedly weakened considerably. Before long, the proposal had lost the institutional backing needed to move forward. Without that support, the effort stalled completely, and Camilla ultimately withdrew it. The fallout reportedly revealed a growing divide within palace circles. One group argued that the monarchy must evolve to survive modern challenges. They believed capable individuals connected to the royal family could help strengthen public engagement during periods of heavy demand. From their perspective, adaptability was essential. The opposing side viewed the issue very differently. They argued that the monarchy's strength comes from consistency, structure, and clearly defined boundaries. In their view, expanding official roles beyond traditional limits could create complications that would last for generations. And that's what makes this story so significant. The debate was never really about one person. It became a larger argument about the future direction of the monarchy itself. Should royal traditions remain firmly protected, or should the institution become more flexible as circumstances change? That question continues to sit at the heart of many royal discussions today. What this episode appears to show is that Prince William and Princess Anne remain deeply committed to preserving the existing framework. Their response demonstrated that when major constitutional questions arise, they are willing to take a firm stand and defend the boundaries they believe protect the institution. And if palace insiders are correct, this entire battle may be remembered less as a disagreement over a patronage and more as a defining moment that revealed exactly where influence, authority, and decision-making power currently reside within the royal family. On the opposite side of the debate stood William and Anne, backed by senior palace officials and longtime royal advisors who believed the issue went far beyond filling vacant roles. Their position was simple but powerful. Royal patronages connected to the crown are not rewards for personal accomplishments, nor are they tools to solve short-term staffing problems. They carry symbolic weight and institutional importance that must be protected at all costs. For generations, the monarchy has survived political storms, family disputes, and public scrutiny because it maintained a clear separation between private family interests and official state responsibilities. According to those supporting William and Anne, once that line starts to blur, the entire structure becomes harder to defend. Princess Anne's role in this battle cannot be overstated. Within royal circles, she is widely viewed as one of the strongest guardians of tradition and protocol. Over decades of public service, she has built a reputation for discipline, consistency, and absolute dedication to duty. Unlike others who may see rules as obstacles, Anne has always treated them as the framework that keeps the monarchy standing. The moment Anne threw her support behind William's position, the discussion reportedly changed overnight. What had started as an internal proposal suddenly became a much larger fight about the monarchy's future direction. Her opinion carried enormous influence because it came from someone who had spent more than 50 years serving the institution without controversy or interruption. Anne reportedly made it clear that procedures exist for a reason. They are designed to prevent personal relationships from influencing decisions that affect the crown. In her view, bending the rules for one situation could create problems that would echo for years to come. Critics of the proposal also pointed to history. They argued that when extended members of the royal family have taken on public roles in the past, those arrangements were carefully structured and tightly controlled. Even relatives connected by blood who received responsibilities still operated within clearly defined constitutional boundaries. According to reports, opponents believed granting a high-profile royal role to someone outside that traditional framework would represent a major departure from modern royal practice. That concern sparked one question that reportedly echoed through palace discussions again and again. If the rules can be adjusted in this case because of a personal connection, where does it stop? If one family member gains access to official representation, what prevents future generations from seeking similar treatment? For traditionalists, that question became impossible to ignore. As a result, the palace found itself stuck in a complete stalemate. Camilla's supporters argued that modernization and flexibility were necessary for the monarchy to adapt. William and Anne's supporters argued that preserving constitutional structure mattered more than convenience. Neither side appeared willing to back down. Then, William made the move that completely shifted the conversation. Rather than simply rejecting the proposal and leaving the staffing issue unresolved, he reportedly introduced an alternative solution that fit perfectly within his broader vision for a leaner and more focused monarchy. Instead of looking outside the traditional framework, he looked within the existing family structure. His reported choice was Peter Phillips, the eldest grandchild of Queen Elizabeth II and the son of Princess Anne, along with Peter's wife, Harriet Spurling. The proposal immediately caught attention because it addressed the manpower issue while avoiding many of the constitutional concerns raised by Tom Parker Bowles's supporters. For William, it was a smart strategic move on several levels. Peter Phillips occupies a unique place within the royal family. Although he is closely connected to the monarchy, he has spent most of his life building a career outside official royal duties. Unlike many public figures associated with royalty, Peter developed extensive experience in the private sector and built a reputation as a capable business professional. Over the years, he worked with major organizations including Jaguar, Williams Formula One, and other large corporate ventures. Those experiences gave him knowledge in management, marketing, business operations, and public engagement. Supporters argued that these skills are exactly the type of expertise many modern charities and organizations need today. Charitable institutions no longer operate like they did decades ago. Many function like sophisticated businesses that require leadership, strategy, fundraising, and public outreach. Peter's professional background reportedly made him an attractive option for helping bridge that gap. At the same time, Peter has maintained strong relationships within the royal family. His long-standing connection with William has reportedly made him a trusted figure behind the scenes, someone viewed as dependable, steady, and loyal during both public and private challenges. But the proposal became even more interesting with the inclusion of Harriet Spurling. Harriet's professional experience as a pediatric nurse reportedly made her especially valuable to several ongoing royal initiatives. Her frontline healthcare knowledge brought something rare to the discussion: real-world medical experience that directly connected with some of the monarchy's most important charitable priorities. This became particularly relevant because Catherine, Princess of Wales, has devoted significant attention to issues involving early childhood development, family well-being, and children's health. With Catherine balancing her recovery and public responsibilities, supporters believed Harriet could help maintain momentum in areas already receiving strong public attention. According to reports, Harriet's willingness to contribute her expertise created a practical solution. Rather than replacing anyone, she could help support existing campaigns while allowing important projects to continue moving forward. That approach reportedly appealed to those seeking continuity without creating unnecessary controversy. Together, William and Anne were said to be advancing what some insiders described as an associate royals approach. Under this reported model, Peter and Harriet would not become traditional working royals. They would not receive public funding, assume major royal titles, or create additional costs for taxpayers. Instead, they would contribute professional expertise to carefully selected causes and initiatives. Every public appearance, charitable activity, or official statement would reportedly be coordinated through established palace channels. Strict oversight would ensure consistency with royal priorities while maintaining a clear distinction between public service and private careers. That final detail may have been the key to the entire strategy. By creating firm boundaries from the start, William and Anne reportedly found a way to address staffing challenges without altering the constitutional structure they were determined to protect. And in doing so, they may have strengthened their vision of what the monarchy should look like for decades to come. The strict boundaries built into William's reported plan are a huge part of why it gained so much support inside royal circles. Under the arrangement being discussed, Peter Phillips would continue operating as a private professional whenever handling his business interests. Royal branding, royal authority, and private commercial activity would remain completely separate. When Peter and Harriet participate in charitable projects, they would do so in carefully defined volunteer capacities, with every appearance managed to protect the value and prestige associated with royal involvement. And that's where the contrast became impossible to ignore. Supporters of William's approach argued that his proposal solved the same staffing concerns without creating any constitutional headaches. There was no need to alter long-established traditions. There was no need to redefine official roles. There was no need to open debates about where family connections end and royal authority begins. By comparison, critics of Camilla's reported proposal believed it raised difficult questions about precedent and future expectations. William's alternative avoided those questions entirely while still providing additional support where it was needed. In one move, he effectively removed the argument that the monarchy had run out of options. That development reportedly created a very awkward situation for Camilla's supporters. For months, concerns had allegedly been raised about shrinking numbers within the active royal team. The claim was that the workload had become overwhelming and that new solutions were urgently needed. William's response was essentially a direct answer to that concern. According to reports, he presented two respected individuals already connected to the royal family, both willing to contribute, both capable of supporting charitable efforts, and both able to do so without additional cost to taxpayers. Suddenly, the discussion shifted away from a staffing shortage and toward a much simpler question. If a solution already existed, why push for a more controversial alternative? And that's where momentum reportedly began slipping away from Camilla's proposal. Once William and Anne's alternative gained traction, the original recommendation appeared increasingly difficult to defend. The constitutional concerns remained. Questions about precedent remained. Meanwhile, a practical replacement was already sitting on the table. Eventually, the proposal to give Tom Parker Bowles an official royal role reportedly lost support and faded from consideration. Faced with mounting resistance and the possibility of a larger institutional dispute, Camilla ultimately withdrew the recommendation. The outcome reportedly restored a sense of order within the traditional structure of the House of Windsor. Sources have suggested that continuing the push could have triggered a much broader debate involving senior royal advisors and constitutional review processes. Rather than allowing the issue to escalate further, the matter was quietly brought to an end. Reports indicate that King Charles was comfortable with the final result, and from his perspective, it's easy to understand why. Throughout his reign, he has had to balance family relationships with the responsibilities of the crown. This solution allowed those two worlds to remain separate without forcing a direct confrontation. Instead of personally stepping in to reject the proposal, Charles could rely on established procedures and institutional safeguards. The system handled the issue on its own. The process played out, concerns were reviewed, and a decision emerged through the traditional channels. For Charles, that reportedly represented exactly how the monarchy is supposed to function. The king was also said to appreciate the growing involvement of Peter and Harriet in charitable and community-focused efforts. Their willingness to contribute without seeking official titles or public funding reportedly appealed to Charles's vision of service and family cooperation. His reported support for William's alternative effectively closed the door on further debate. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was also said to view the arrangement positively. Much of her public work has focused on early childhood development, family well-being, and children's health initiatives. Supporters believed Harriet's healthcare experience could provide valuable support in those areas. According to reports, Harriet welcomed the opportunity enthusiastically. Rather than seeking a public spotlight, she was said to be interested in contributing practical expertise where it could make a meaningful difference. That approach reportedly aligned well with the values William and Catherine have emphasized in recent years. For both Peter and Harriet, the role was described as an opportunity to serve without changing who they are. They would remain private individuals with their own careers and responsibilities while contributing to selected causes connected to the royal family's charitable mission. Supporters viewed that model as a modern example of public service, one built on participation and commitment rather than titles and status. But beyond the personalities involved, this entire episode revealed something much bigger about the monarchy's current direction. At its core, the rejection of the proposal was never really about Tom Parker Bowles as an individual. By most accounts, Tom remains a successful and respected figure in his own field. The debate centered on institutional structure, not personal criticism. For William and Anne, the issue reportedly came down to preserving clear boundaries. Both have long been associated with a belief that royal responsibilities must remain distinct from private family relationships. Their concern wasn't about excluding people, it was about protecting the framework that allows the monarchy to function consistently from one generation to the next. Princess Anne's involvement carried particular weight because of her decades of service. Few members of the royal family possess her experience or understanding of how royal institutions operate. Her support signaled that this was more than a routine disagreement. It was a matter of principle. William, meanwhile, has repeatedly emphasized the importance of maintaining a focused and streamlined monarchy. Reports suggest he has always believed that relatives connected through marriage should remain private citizens, even when they are welcomed as valued members of the wider family. In that vision, family gatherings and official royal duties belong in separate categories. One is personal, the other represents the institution of the crown. Supporters of William's position argue that mixing those two worlds too freely risks creating confusion about who officially represents the monarchy and who does not. Maintaining that distinction has become one of the defining features of his long-term approach. What this entire conflict appears to demonstrate is that the monarchy remains willing to adapt when necessary, but only within limits. Solutions can be modernized, roles can evolve, new approaches can be introduced, but many within the institution still believe that certain foundational principles cannot be compromised. The outcome reportedly established a clear message for future generations. Personal influence may occasionally shape conversations behind palace doors, but institutional rules remain the deciding factor when major constitutional questions arise. And perhaps the most revealing detail is how the story ended. Camilla's supporters reportedly argued that there was a growing capacity problem inside the monarchy. William and Anne responded with an alternative plan. That alternative gained support. The staffing concern was addressed. The debate ended. Whether one agrees with the decision or not, the result highlighted where influence currently sits within the royal structure. When a challenge emerged, William and Anne were able to present a solution that aligned with both tradition and practicality. The workload continued, the charitable work continued, the institution moved forward, and the boundaries that many senior royals consider essential remained firmly in place. In the end, this wasn't just about one proposal. It became a powerful reminder that the monarchy's future will likely be shaped by those focused on protecting the institution's long-term stability, ensuring that duty, structure, and tradition continue to guide the path ahead. What do you think about William and Anne's reported strategy? Was it the right move for the future of the monarchy, or should the royal family be more flexible as times change? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal updates and behind-the-scenes stories.